Family Search is. And this is where you have free access to check out your family tree. I'm going to sign into my family tree, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to show you what the family tree looks like, and I'm going to share a story about one of my ancestors to help you really understand the power of shaking that family tree, of where you can really help to identify where some of the nuances that you have in your life and your personality and the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual life that you've experienced, where it comes from. Because it all didn't originate with you. And when you better understand your ancestors, you better understand yourself. So I'm going to share a story about one of mine with you and just show you how Family Search works. So let me get in here. Here we go. And signing in. Here we are. Sarah Jones, that's me. Okay, I like looking at the tree viewpoint. And in this case, I want to open up and show you. So there, my mom and dad. These are my grandparents. So here's my grandma and my grandpa on my mom's side, and my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side. And then we look up, and then here are my great-grandparents on my mom's side, my great-grandparents on my dad's side, and so forth. Here on Family Search, what's really fun is that because there's so many people who contribute to Family Search, sometimes if you have never done any family history, all you need to do is go plug in your information right here, and then you get to put in your information, and sometimes it will populate when you find a grandparent or a great-grandparent that already has information here, and then it populates. It's pretty cool. If, however, you are starting from absolute scratch, this is the website that I'm going to highly recommend that you utilize for multiple reasons. One, it's a great place to store. It's super user-friendly. They have AI working in the background, finding and connecting dots and giving you recommendations. They also have all the search information. And so let's leave my family tree for a minute. And I just want to show you, they have search options. You have free resources to search all the documents that our Family Search has collected and scanned and put in. You have access to research them for free. All of it is free. And when it comes to that, you can utilize. I have an ancestor that I'm still looking for some of their information. So I will use, I'll use an ancestor I'm going to show you guys. Her name is Maria Kropf. And she was born in Switzerland. And she was born there in the she was born in Switzerland. You have to, come on, choose Switzerland. There we go. And she was born there in the she was born there in, I think, the 1880s. So we're going to go with 1880. And then search. And then legit, not even kidding, they bring up all the information. They bring up everything that is in Family Search that has that name, that location, that year range, which can be to your detriment if you're putting in too much information, because then it doesn't give you a chance to look around because the spelling might be slightly different, the location might be slightly different, the year might be slightly different. So just FYI, that's a little side thing. But with her, I just wanted to use her as an example. I don't know if I'll remotely see her right here at the top, because quite honestly, I'm not even sure if I'm spelling her name right at this moment, which is funny, but I don't know if I am. So, but you can explore and you can look and you can see who they are. Her married name, actually, though, let's see if I can look up her married name. Her married name is Mockley. She married him in Utah in the she had to be before the 1870s. I think she was, we're going to go with 1870 to 1880. No, I'm going to go 1850. 1850 to 1870. And then she was married around 1880. 85 maybe. Okay, so then I'm going to search and I'm going to see, oh, nope. That's not her either. I'm going to open up. I just want to make sure I have her right name. I'm spelling it correctly. Again, as funny as it is, we're all human. So let me open up another tab, which is also a reason I love Family Search. I open up multiple tabs at a time while I'm researching. I don't just use one at a time. I find it massively helpful. Oh, it is Maria Kropf. And she was born in 1860. And it was Leonard Mockley as her husband. Maria, and I did spell it right. Yay! Let me be more specific though and put in Bern. Let me put in Bern, Australia. So let's clear this. And then I'm going to put Bern. I'm in Australia. I don't know where that came from. Bern, Switzerland is where she was born. And she was born in 1860. I am going to put a place of residence as Utah. And we're going to put that for the year 1900 and search. And there she is, right here at the very top. Maria, Mary. She went by multiple names because, again, like I said, it might have different names. So Maria, she has multiple names. She married my great-great-grandfather, Leonard Mockley. And this is where things get really interesting. And it helped me to understand. So a lot of the work I do for myself and with clients is we work on healing ancestral trauma. And ancestral trauma in the form of abuse, neglect, poverty, addiction, whatever format trauma comes and perpetuates in a family. It doesn't always mean that the exact trauma is passed down in the exact way that it was happening. So if there was physical abuse in the family and the next generation did not pass on physical abuse to their kids, unless that person who didn't pass on the physical abuse healed with Christ, relating to the abuse that originally happened, there's going to be some energy. There's going to be some emotions, some mental, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical reactions or fears or doubts, needs for control, all based on that original person who created the trauma. And it's going to perpetuate until we all learn to turn to Christ to give him all of our burdens. This is where things can get funky with ancestral trauma. So in her case, in Mary's case, or Maria's case, this is where I started to really understand where neglect was a big part and where trauma from moving and establishing new places and relationships and connection and family and abandonment, where a lot of it actually felt started. Not started with her, but she experienced a lot, and I'll explain that. Anytime you have a family member that leaves one country and comes to another country, there's always going to be a little wonk happen, unless they're doing the entire thing all the way through where they're giving everything to Christ. They're giving him their fears. They're giving him their concerns, their doubts. If they have money, if they have family issues, if they're leaving family under positive or negative reasons, if they're leaving their country under positive or negative reasons. In this case, Maria had converted to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and was leaving with her sister and cousin from Bern, from Switzerland. They left Switzerland to move and come to Utah with, at the time, were pioneers or saints. And so a large group of members, new members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Switzerland got together, and about 200 of them, if I remember correctly, and they came over from Switzerland. The hard thing with Maria on this trip, she was 14 when it started, and this is her. And when we're using the search option, sometimes there's pictures, sometimes they're not. So when there's pictures, here, let me see if I'll open it. Sometimes there's pictures, sometimes they're not. And this is her. Let me come back. It keeps opening in a new tab, so I can't. No, it keeps opening in a new tab that's not recorded. I just realized that. So let me go and look at her, and I'll look at her in my family tree so we can see her a little more specifically, because that should open in this tab. Whoops. Hello. Hey, guys. She's right here. So we're going to view her person. There we go. Okay. So this is Maria, my dear, sweet, great grandmother. And she came, or when she left Switzerland, she was 14, and she came to Utah. On the trip, it was just she and her sister, her older sister, and a cousin. male cousin, and then other people they're coming with. And her sister, actually, it took them a year to get here. It took them a year to move on. And I've only learned this because of people who have put her history in Family Search and the family's information that's here. But she came over with her sister, and her sister died on the trip over. So not only is she 14, she's leaving her family. She's leaving everything that she knows that's familiar. She has joined a new church. So there's this new religion connection. Even if she's feeling peace and love and knowing that all is well, if she knew all was well and she felt guided by God to do these things, there's still these underlying emotions that are there. There's still underlying things. And you want to know how I know she didn't know those existed? Because my grandma, her granddaughter, did not know those existed. Which means when we look back at our ancestry, whatever we have had to learn in this life, and in my case, emotional intelligence has been a big one, is we know that our parents did not know those things because they did not teach them to us. If they would have known these things that are good and how to process and how to heal and how to give things to Christ, they would have done that. They would have taught it to us naturally. So there's your sign. If they never knew, they don't know it. Anyway, we go back and I recognize my grandma didn't know how. Oh, her grandma didn't know how, or her mom didn't know how. And so my dear sweet Maria didn't know how to process emotions because none of us know how to process emotions. Ta-da! Anywho, where that is at is that with her and with her processing, and sorry, don't get me wrong, everyone has their choice and they get to choose if they're going to accept and take on the things that their family knew and are familiar or not. So there's that as well. I don't mean to negate that we don't have any agency or people don't have choice in there and that some people can teach good things. I agree with that as well. I'm just saying the majority of the time, this is the case, and all of us it's all nuanced, but this is the majority. Anywho, Maria came, and she came with her sister and her uncle or her cousin who died. And then as soon as she got to Utah, so she had this traumatic shifting in the world, moving from a whole new country, speaking a whole new language, leaving behind family that she loved, friends that she had, a community and whatever sort and layout that was. Her sister died. She comes to Utah, and within a year, so she's 14 when she first leaves, she gets to Utah by 15, and then by 16, girl gets married to my great-great-grandpa. Like, I know it was a time. I know in the 1800s, like, hey, young people marry old people. But my grandpa was also, if you can see these two dates, my great-great-grandpa, Leonard Mockley, was also 20 years older, 19 years older than her. So I am positive there was a little discomfort. And then here's the big kicker. In that same year, they had their first child. So in 1876, she's 16. She's 16, and she has Sarah. She has her oldest. And then she goes on to have 13 more. 13 more children. And this is only within 4 generations, right? This is only within 4. This is my great grandma is right here, Rachel. This is my great grandma. And just to know a little of her history, she married an abusive alcoholic that was very unkind. And so I also understand and know some other dynamics there with my family in that regard. But the power of understanding me and understanding where some of my fears are coming from, understanding where some of my doubts, some of my lack of faith, some of my non-emotional intelligence and not knowing things, some of just the feelings of overwhelm or stress and my massively dysregulated nervous system, they happen for a reason. I was born with a physical body that was quite literally descended from my dear Maria Kropf. I share DNA with this woman, and she shares it with her ancestors, and so on and so on. And just knowing that within these 4 generations, that this is what we've had to deal with. That's what we've had to work with. And that's just one of them, right? That's just one. We got one set there. We got this set here. We got this set here. And guys, that's just my mom's side. And all of these people are coming with all these unique experiences. And there is a scripture that I absolutely love that talks about in the end of times, before Jesus Christ comes again, before his second coming. And it is, I don't know why the reference is not memorized, so I will post it either in the video or in the description, but it's in the New Testament. I'm pretty sure it's in Hebrews. I'm pretty positive. Actually, I'll just look it up while we're on the video recording. Let's look it up. But it's talking about how we turn our hearts to our fathers, and the hearts of the fathers are turned to the children. And it is referencing before Christ comes that we are going to have, it's not. I always say it. It's Malachi. It's not Hebrews. It's Malachi. Silly Sarah. And it's the Old Testament. Man, I'm on one. I'm positive it's in the New Testament too, though. So I'll find that reference and I'll give you both. But this one is Malachi 4:6, and it says, in reference to the second coming, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. And when it comes to knowing that, I feel like I should read verse 5. Again, Malachi verses 5-6. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Shaking your family tree. Learning about where you come from. Even if it's uncomfortable, when you learn to navigate that discomfort with faith instead of fear, when you learn to navigate it with Christ instead of just by yourself, it is going to be a lot more comfortable, and you're going to be able to navigate a lot more things. When it comes to our family trees, these are individuals, not just ideas, or not just what ifs, or the people that are here, like who are they or how do they work, but these are literally the people that made choices that are impacting my life right now. And for me to have a better life, to feel more peace and less worry, and to increase my faith and let go of fear, to work with Christ, I need to know where I come from. I need to understand that. And that means my heart is going to turn to my fathers, who are all of these ancestors. They're all these guys. These are all my ancestors. My heart's going to turn to them. And in return, where they are in the spirit world, their hearts are turning to me, because we are family and we are connected. And we get to heal together. One of the biggest things that I've learned, and I'll talk about it over and over again, is I learned that part of turning my heart to my ancestors was learning to forgive them. Forgive them for the choices they made that are negatively impacting my life today, and to give them thanks and to extend gratitude for the choices they made that made my life worth it, in the aspect of how much value and how much experience and exploration and joy that I have because of the choices they made. And I think that's the part where we need to learn to balance when we shake that tree. Shaking trees is not only just like, I'm going to pull it out. No, we're shaking it. And a lot of times it's for the harvest. It's to get out this harvest so that we can actually live in abundance. And that's really what I hope for you, as you also learn to explore and shake your family tree.